That's what makes this show so valuable.
Yeah, we're not just spewing stuff that we off the top of our head. We're bringing guys in that are smarter than us.
Consider us as your real estate concierge.
Call me all things real estate, credit, refinancing, buying a house.
And now, the show that gives you the latest and most relevant housing market news. Real Estate Radio Boston with financial expert Rick Scherer and legal professional Ali Alavi.
Without further ado, we got Tech Talk with Erica Wallace. What's happening?
Well, like you said, with 17 days left to shop, this app is a great app called Santa's Bag. Kind of a funny name, but it does help you track all the gifts you've bought and who you still need to buy for in one central location. So you don't need to keep, papers and receipts and notes and try and stay on budget. It'll actually track your spending for you as you enter in each gift and help you stay on budget for the season. So if you want to sync it with people from either their Facebook profile or your contact list, it'll do both. Or you can just enter them in manually, and then as you shop, you can just add the gift and pick this from a list of stores that you frequent. You can just add the store, add the price. It'll actually calculate the tax for you if you put in the sales tax ahead of time for the rates and let you know if you're on budget or over budget for each person.
Wow.
So, Erica, when I was a kid, my mom was an early shopper, which meant that I had plenty of time to find out where the gifts were stored and hidden. One year I went down and I go, oh, Mom, I got sweatpants or something like that. I'm like, Mom, all I want for Christmas is your sweatpants. And she's like, you peaked. I'm 7 years old wanting sweatpants. But I knew she bought it for me.
They must have had you in mind when they added the passcode.
Perfect.
So you can set any password you want and no one can get on and see your list.
Erica, thanks so much. We'll see you back here next week. What I want to talk about is disclosures today, and although people might think that's a little boring and dry, let's talk about people getting killed in houses and ghosts and people dying in houses.
It's a great question. It's a great subject. I often get complaints from the consumer saying that, hey, there was a murder in my house,
right,
or
there was
that
a death in the property that I just bought last week.
Right.
And typically they learn that information from one of the neighbors.
Absolutely.
Right after the day of closing, the moving trucks drive away and the neighbor comes right over and says, hey, you bought the murder house.
Right.
So the question is, does the listing agent or seller have to disclose that there was a murder on the property?
What's the answer?
Well, under the stigmatized property law, which is under 93A Consumer Protection, the answer is no. A seller does not have to disclose that there's been a murder or a suicide on a piece of property unless asked.
Let's talk about, obviously, our good old city of Salem. A lot of people up there think maybe their house is a little bit haunted.
A little haunted? You
Right.
think that's a selling point and you're going to increase the price?
Maybe in Salem it's a selling point. Maybe in other areas of Massachusetts it might not
Actually,
be.
I believe that the term paranormal activity only shows up once in the law in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and that's under this what we call the stigmatized property rule. Same rule applies. If you've got Casper running around the house,
Right.
you need to disclose it if asked. So if this is a concern, and really that's what the consumer needs to walk away with, if you're a buyer and you have a concern about someone having died on the property or murdered on the property or some stigma ghost, have your realtor ask, because that information is not going to be given out freely unless asked. The only affirmative written duty that you have to give out is lead paint forms.
Okay.
If your property was built prior to 1978, you're required to execute a lead paint form stating whether or not there's been a test on the property. And if so, you have to give all the reports. Or if there's never been a test on the property or you have no knowledge of that test,
Right.
then you would fill that out and give it to the buyer. And the law requires that that form is provided to the buyer prior to them entering into a binding contract.
Jesse, one of the most important things that you do for my firm, my company,
Yes.
Alavi and Braza, is that you guys provide plot plans for us.
Yes.
We've used you guys for years now, and I can't be happier personally to have you guys as one of our partners.
The reason we're able to match or beat any price in the market, any other surveying company will match or beat it. The reason we're able to do that is because we have over 750,000 plot plans on file. Whenever you're purchasing a house or strongly encouraged whenever you're refinancing a house, we come out there and make sure nothing's encroaching on or off your property. Easements, which are invisible. A lot of people don't know what easements are and where they are.
I've had situations where the easement is actually depicted that it's running right through the property.
And an easement is?
An easement is essentially the original builder or the original owner of the land may have granted rights to either neighbors or utility companies to essentially go over and onto the property.
You and I had one that literally split down the middle of the house.
Exactly. It split right down the house. Now, Carol, I'm provided as a practitioner with a plot plan that shows an encroachment or shows an easement. What are some of my options as an engineer? What's your insight on this?
Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to verify the lot lines to make sure they're really where they're shown on paper. So you probably hire a surveyor, and we can provide that type of service, and go out and find the actual lot lines. Once you establish where that is and where the encroachment may be, then you got to look at some options. You got to check with the town regulations to find out what can and can't be done within that property line limit. And sometimes, you got to you might have to relocate that object, whether it's a pool, a fence, a shed. Maybe sometimes you're buying a little piece of property from your neighbor. It varies from situation to situation.
I think that's an important consideration. I mean, the one that Rick, you and I had, where the easement appeared that it was going right through the building.
Right.
We actually had HS&T provide us with a detailed survey on that, which essentially proved that the easement was not going through the structure.
Oh, okay.
Other things that other surveying companies may not offer that we do is no closing, no cost. That plays a part if somebody's close to closing on a house, we go out there, we do the mortgage inspection plot plan, and they find out we can't close on it. There may be a lien on the title. There may be a number of things, like you said, an encroachment that they weren't aware of, and then the buyer backs out. When he backs out, even though we went out there and did the job, we're not going to stick our client with the bill. There's a number of things that specific clients want, and we're going to do it because we want our clients to be happy.
And you have the capabilities to do it, and I think that's what distinguishes you from the competition.
Absolutely.